So thank you guys for joining us. We are really excited to be joined today by one of my athletes, the ever fabulous Morgan Spriggs. Hello, Morgan.
Hey guys.
Thank you for joining us. So Chris and I are going to be diving into the guru in just a second. We have, as you've been privy to, been having some tech difficulties. Again, it seems to be something that we take one step forward and then learn a whole bunch of new things in that step. So we've hopefully gotten it all sorted out. And Chris is going to be talking to you a bit about our main topic for today, which is the Swim Smooth Guru, and ways that you can use that in your own swim. But we know that like you aren't always going to believe us on this one, so we wanted to make sure that we had a trustworthy story to tell, and that is the role that Morgan is going to be playing for us today. So Morgan, thank you for being our human face of Swim Smooth. And why don't you tell us a little bit about how you got in this hot seat?
Well, thank you, Molly. And it's been just great working with you over the very brief time that we've had the chance. You've made huge improvements with me. So my journey goes back to 2013 when I decided to learn to swim. It was been fun just kind of getting prepared to talk to you about that. But yeah, I really didn't know how to swim at all, actually. I was sharing with you that my parents, when I was a wee little child, got me lessons at the YMCA on 4th Avenue in Seattle. And I learned to be a polywonk. And that's how far I got. And then like a lot of folks, I had a swim accident in Lake Washington. I was tooling around. I went out too far and it freaked me out. And so I didn't really swim until 2013 when I had a couple of very courageous friends get me into a pool. And that was an epic battle. But we definitely got there to the point where I've in that journey gone from not being able to put my face into the water to going to doing the blue the Blue Lake Try and doing that on my back a couple of times to finally being able to get to the Ironman Coeur d'Alene, which was an epic battle, and then the other one at Best in the West, actually being able to front crawl a significant distance and get out of the water.
Like
and
a champion, yeah.
actually be able to do that. So it's been a journey, and there's been a lot of folks, and I hope they're out there that have helped me, and they're too numerous to name that have seen me on that. And I think having the app that you guys have made available to us was really also very helpful in me understanding this weird swim language. I remember reading the first one was, what's a ballet kick? What do you mean by that? When do you go on four? And what? And also, who's this Chris Bag guy in the water doing a doggy paddle, which I've watched so many times, more than he can ever imagine, over and over again. So it's been good to actually not have to watch Chris swim, even though I've watched him hundreds of times, and have other other videos of other people doing that.
Keep things in rotation, right?
Yeah, basically put a little rotation. But one day I hope to be as flat in the water as he is. So that would be awesome.
Morgan, thank you for bumping up my YouTube statistics. It's very appreciated.
No problems, man. No problems.
Brilliant.
No problems. So, no, I think where I'm at right now is, I'm, preparing. Hopefully, Ironman Santa Rosa will happen, and I will get in that water and just devastate it and get out and finish the race. And coming from, I wasn't as successful in Cozumel, but I think one of the biggest things for somebody who was afraid to get in the water was I dived into the ocean with it churning,
Mm-hmm.
and then swam in cenotes and did all of this other swimming after the race. Just dramatic of just
Mhm.
what it means to follow that whole methodology that Swim Smooth has put together, because I didn't know any better. So I mean, that's really from the standpoint of that, is you guys have really kind of given me the I had some realities as I've kind of gotten there, but it was just really since 2018 when I first started working with the group. That's only been my reality, and that's what's got me from barely, barely struggling to front crawl 25 yards to, yeah, no, you can drop me in the water. I'll do my 4,000, get out and actually make the timer, make the time delay cut off. And it's been that methodology. And, as I was sharing with you, Molly, it would be really cool to meet, was his Ed is his first name?
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be awesome one time to actually get to meet him, because I've stared at him swimming so many times.
Oh, Paul. No, that's Paul. Paul Newsome. Yep.
Yeah, Paul. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, Ed is my cold water swimming friend. I was like, oh, you'll definitely meet Ed.
Yeah, so no, it's just watching all of those videos, because I was also looking at the beginning. Some of the very first set of videos that I had gotten from you were them doing the sink downs, them doing, just some of the basic strokes that I learned was from the Swim Smooths method. And so having it in the app and in one spot, and again, as I was kind of going through time, I wasn't aware of it until pretty much last year, when you guys actually cut us over and gave us the basic intro, that it made it easier to access the lessons in there. And then it took me a while to figure out what methodology we're using, until I actually looked in the app, and then I looked at what you were giving to me, Molly. It's like, oh wait, there's a correlation here. What?
There is. They're highly correlated.
They're highly.
And I think that, and one of the reasons we wanted Morgan to be here is because you really do have, as an adult swimmer, as someone who learned to swim as an adult, as someone who had some early negative experiences with the water, you have a lot of things that our athletes are struggling with. And the fact that you've made so much progress from going from being someone who, was learning how to tread water, to being someone who has the reasonable expectation to complete an Ironman, and has successfully completed two half Ironman distance swims. It's just it's a huge leap that you've made, and so we're really excited to talk about how you've used their tech for that.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, Morgan, what, in using the app, you're like a tech person, so you're somebody who kicks the tires. What have you found really useful? What sections of the Guru have you really found helpful?
Well, when I log in, I go directly to you can go into swimsmooth.com, but I just have it bookmarked to swimsmooth.guru, and it takes you right in. And then on your I usually use it on my smartphone to go in. So I have it. I actually go into my CSS most of the time, because when I get a red mist workout, that's where I go in to try to figure out, okay, what's RM6? And then wait, it's only an odd and even numbers. And she gave me an odd number. I don't know what to do. How can I figure out the pattern? So I go in there and do a little bit of math to figure that out. So the first piece that I'm in there most of the time is on my CSS. Then the next piece that I use is on the dashboard. There is, you can actually pin your favorite videos, so it shows up on that first dashboard. So I'm an Arnie, and so what I did is I pinned up, what's it mean to be an Arnie? So that's my set of videos, because as I promised Molly, I will not overglide, I promise. So
you have a lot of the overglider traits, personality-wise.
So I'll go there, and when I was preparing for Cozumel, looking for that, there was a couple of ones where it was talking about open water swimming techniques. So in there, so when you go on the front dashboard there, you can scroll down and there's a video section, and if you find videos that you like, you can press favorite and it will just pin them up there. So those are the first two things that I kind of geeked out over. And then the most obvious is when you go in is just setting what your CSS was. Now I kind of understand. Yeah, now I understand what that means. And you can start hitting that and really leveraging it. Continuing on the kind of the geek thing, when you go into my CSS, is you can feel like a hero after a workout. You can go and click that tweak one. And that was one of the things that the first thing that, Molly hadn't mentioned it, but I just went ahead and started doing that. It's after I did a swim test, I started just, when I felt really strong, I would just hit that button and keep going. So those are some of the things that that's the stuff that I've first geeked out on.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, because
Well,
the first time you do the test, it's usually, I mean, you know, we like Molly and I have talked about tests just the other day actually, and we were talking about the fact that like it just kind of gets you in the door. And then the tweaker is awesome because then you're actually responding to something that happens in the real world. And if you're like, no, my test was a little too slow, you can just keep being like, it was too easy, it was too easy. And then eventually you're like, no, this is just right. Like, I'm getting there.
No, yep. So it was the test that I did. I set my CSS, and so I finally got it. And then I hit the tweak like 3 times, and it was, I think we were at a Tri-Team PDX party, and I just like, I just improved by like 7 seconds. And it was actually, had been hitting that and feeling comfortable that I know that I can push a little harder in that 400 and still have enough to finish the 2. So I was skeptical, quite frankly, that it was going to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
I just kept pressing the button. It's like, whatever. But it actually, it moves it just enough so it's not, really noticeable. But after you've done it like 3 or 4 times, it does add up.
it's baby steps. Yeah.
Yeah.
Molly,
Yes.
from a coaching perspective, what sections of the Guru do you find yourself using more often than others?
So for some reason, that's a great question. For some reason, I have ended up with a lot of Arnie's on my roster. Arnie's are just common to me. I don't know why. Yeah, exactly. I like them. They're a swim challenge. And because of that, the stroke types, and especially like the documents that talk about like what each stroke type actually is, and the Arnie one especially, for some reason when Arnie's read that, it's like the first time they've ever felt seen before by like this swim world. Like they're like, oh my god, like this is exactly me. And I think that is really helpful, because I think that what a lot of swimmers get stuck in is the idea that they are different and it just won't work for them. Like there is something unique to them that makes swim impossible for who they are. And I think a lot of swimmers get stuck in that mindset and in that like kind of stagnant mentality of like, there's nothing that I can do. I don't have control over this. And I think a lot of Arnies do, especially because like they're used to being good at sports in a lot of cases. Like they often have some kind of sport background. And for some reason, like they read that and they're like, oh my God, there are other people out there like me. And I think that like recognition, and then the little bit of like the step-by-step what you do next, and the things that you find really frequently coming up in people's strokes, give people like a progression to see, and they give people a pathway. So that's something that I really like. I like those stroke type documents. And then I also use a lot of the elite folks, the elite videos, to show some of the concepts that are harder to teach, like proprioception wise. So the high elbow catch and the early vertical forearm, and stroke rate, front quadrant swimming, like all of that kind of stuff, I think can be really helpful if you watch somebody who does it flawlessly. It's really a lot easier for other people to see it then.
Yeah.
What about you, Chris? What do you use?
Yeah, like I find myself going a lot to the principles page, because that's I think that's a page that people skip over quite a bit, because it's close to the beginning, but it's so close to the beginning that you can kind of dive right past it to all of like go into the swim types, go into the drill videos, go into the elites, like, which is all amazing stuff. But if you go to the principles page, like all of the Swim Smooth stuff, like basically the entire summation of the program is right there. Like there's a video that's like, what's CSS swimming? And Paul will like walk you through, how to use your tempo trainer and how to set it up. And he also goes through the big thing that everybody that everybody finds confounding about the CSS test is that two swimmers can have the exact same 400 meter time, and then one swimmer can have a faster 200 meter time, and that swimmer, the one with the faster 200 meter, actually has a slower threshold. And this, like, everybody is like, no, that can't possibly be true. That person is faster. And you're like, well, yes, they're faster over a short distance, but if you extrapolate out that curve, they're going to keep slowing down a commensurate amount as the distance doubles. Mm-hmm. And so when you actually get out to 1,500 meters, they're slower. And he draws out a graph with the two curves that shows where they go. And it's a really, really great way to be like, look, like, here's how this system works. And Morgan, there's one of those videos in there is called, it just says like becoming a diesel engine. And it's about the way that you use the red mist system to increase your aerobic system. Because that's really what we're after as triathletes is really building that aerobic below threshold system, being able to swim strong for a long period of time. So I find myself sending people to that page a lot because I fight a lot of battles with Molly, with the swimmers on our squad.
I thought with me, I was like, we don't
fight any battles. Very, very rarely. But I think you've experienced this with our swimmers on the Nike squad, that we have a lot of very highly motivated, high functioning people on that squad, and they're used to like fast meaning faster, and it's like no, we're trying to talk about what you're able to do over a long period, and explaining that test and how it works is sometimes a little bit of an uphill battle, but like we were talking about with testing the other day, it's just a starting point. And I think that that's something that we all could like stand to remember.
Absolutely. And along those lines, the videos of the drills are much more helpful than I would have thought, because there are so many things that people are doing wrong or doing without like putting the appropriate focus on. And I think that when you see the drills done correctly, even for me, I've been swimming my entire life. I saw a drill that I thought I'd been doing correctly and then realized that I hadn't been. So I think that can be really helpful, especially if you're trying to apply that to your stroke and figure out why we're spending our time doing that.
Yeah. So let's shift gears for a second. You guys, you'll still be able to hear me. Everybody's still going to be able to hear you. I'm going to throw the guru up on our Twitch stream. I'm going to narrate as best I can where I'm going to on that website, so you guys might be able to follow along on your own. But Morgan, we're going to go straight to your favorite place, and we're going to go to the CSS test, that page right away, because we're going to talk through a little bit about the CSS test and then the CSS tweaker, which for any of the CBCGers who are watching, this is one of the big differences from the basic to the pro version that you all have access to now, is that you're going to be able to enter in your CSS test numbers and then tweak it over time as you have workouts that are really successful. So that is that's where we're going to go next. And and Molly and Morgan, I will do my best narration so you can follow along with us.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay. Okay, everybody. You should be looking at my screen right now, which is the Swim Smooth Guru. I hope that you can still hear me. So if you can't hear me, drop a note in the chat, and then Molly will. Awesome, that is great. So what you're looking at here is these are all of my CSS numbers, basically over the past 4 years. I have not tested this many times. I'm not crazy. But what you can see is a number of tests along here that sort of go from that go from early January of 2016, and then I wasn't testing a bunch, and then peak in August 24th of 2018, and that was the last time of that year that I did like a real test. And then I took a long off season at the end of 2018. And you can see that when I retested in the middle of January 2019, that my CSS had jumped up to around 127 per 100 meters. You may think that, like a crazy person, I tested like every month after that. That's not true. What I was doing was I was using the CSS tweaking function. And what was really cool was somewhere, I think right around here, right around June or July of 2019. One of these is actually a test, and you can see that it's within a second of what the CSS tweaker got me to. So it's really, really accurate. It really, really works. And so I'll take you through how we get there. So first of all, you've got to go ahead and enter you actually have to do a CSS test. We got to get in the ballpark somehow. I know nobody likes to do it. 400 time trial is really hard, but when you do your CSS test, you go in here and you enter your information. So, maybe, let's see, I don't know, 5 minutes and 20 seconds, 400, probably went out a little quick, 1 minute and 15 seconds for the first 100, and then 200, let's just put a 230 on here, and go ahead and calculate CSS. Boom, here it is. Your CSS is 125 per 100 meters. And then it also tells you some pacing information. So it says your pacing skills. We rate your pacing skills as your pacing is really holding you back. So my first 100 meters was 115, and then I swam like 7 seconds slower over the remaining 300. That means I went out way too fast and then blew up. That happens a lot, and that's one of the problems with this test, is that if you blow up in the test, you're probably not going to get the most accurate numbers for your CSS. But you know that your pacing is pretty bad. It's also going to give you your diesel status. So it's basically saying how much you're dropping off from a 200 to a 400. In this case, my drop off was like 6%. And so that says that I'm a sprint machine. So I need some more endurance training, basically, to help shore up my fitness so I don't blow up. Basically increase my aerobic endurance is their prescription there. It gives you a whole bunch of performance predictions. So if you want to know what you might end up swimming for an Ironman, it will drop that information right in here. So it says at the moment I could probably swim a 56:31. If you want to take a 10-week challenge, and this is something that Morgan was kind of alluding to, is that he was talking about the tweaker, but they have a similar thing going on here with the 10-week challenge. You start at a certain CSS in your tempo trainer, these little things, which I love so much. And then if you look closely, you can see that the number is dropping very slightly each week. And so you're taking those little baby steps that Molly was talking about, and suddenly 10 weeks later, you're almost 4 seconds per 100 faster than when you started, which is a big deal. That is a really large improvement. Again, those red mist paces that Morgan was talking about, if you need those for a workout, you can head here, and they're all here. One really cool thing is if you go to the workouts that are in the Swim Smooth Guru, and you've put your CSS in, it's already all in there. It calculates your CSS and your red mist for you. So I'm not going to save this CSS because obviously it's not mine, but I am now going to go over to the the CSS tweaker that Morgan was talking about. I know I'm probably talking really fast. I'll try to slow down. I get so excited about this stuff, and there's so little time to pack all this information in here.
It's your inner geek, man.
I know. This is I just love talking about swim training. So this is actually going to come in really handy for all of us when we get back to the pool, whenever we get back to our pools. So you guys can see that right now my CSS is here, 1 minute, 21 seconds, 59 100ths. That's kind of where I was when all of this started happening and we had to leave our pools. If I go and I just hit the ball out of the park, if I have like a workout where this 121.59 is actually really easy, I just hit this heroic button, and you might not have seen it, but it just dropped my CSS to 120.97. So it just took off a little more than 0.6 of a second. And that's what I was doing when you saw that graph with the ever declining CSS numbers, is when I had a really good workout, I would just hit the heroic button and it would shave off a little bit of time. I'm going to put this back because I don't want that number. But and the other way that this is really useful is if you get a CSS test and you're like, no, it's wrong, it's too easy, it's too slow, that's totally fine. Just use it, and after every single workout, come in here and just hit that heroic button. It's going to carve 0.6 of a second off of your CSS. I guarantee you, after 5 or 6 sessions of carving 0.6 of a second off your CSS, you're going to be getting closer to something that's harder. And this is what we try to do with like all of our zone setting, whether we're talking about swimming or cycling or running, heart rate, power, anything. The initial test just gets us in the doorway. And then based off of performance, we kind of tweak it from there. And that's what's so great about the Guru, is that it's built that functionality in. It's actually this wonderful sort of like half analog, half animated thing that they've done for you. So the other end of the spectrum is the dreaded post-hiatus button.
Everyone get ready to hit it.
Everybody get ready to hit this lovely sort of pink color down here on the left.
It's a salmon.
Yeah, I would say even before you go back to the pool, hit the post-hiatus button, use that as your new CSS. You're probably not even going to want to be attempting to swim CSS stuff for a little while, but this will adjust all of your paces down. And you might actually have to hit the post-hiatus button a few times. You might do your first workout back with the post-hiatus button hit and be like, that was still too hard. That's okay. It'll come back faster than you think. But just keep hitting that button until you get to a CSS pace that feels like a 7 or an 8 out of 10 when you're swimming like a 300, 400, 500. It's a lot like threshold power on the bike, that it should be at that 7 to 8 out of 10 level. Mm-hmm. So that's the thing that I am most excited about expanding to all the CBCGers, is the ability to use the CSS tweaker, because then you can tell me after a workout, and you can tell Molly, hey, I had a heroic workout, I'm going to hit the hero button, my new CSS is blank, and your coach can adjust it for you, and then you're actually having a conversation where apples are apples.
It's also pretty nice to, once it knows your CSS, it'll give you the numbers for all of your RM sets, for basically like how to program your beeper. There are a ton of, like if you click on any of the workouts in the workout library, is that where you're headed, Chris?
I'm following you.
Oh, cool. Click on.
I'm going into the CSS workouts.
Awesome. Thank you. You're reading my mind. That's where I figured you were going, but I'm watching it happen on Twitch, nice. Which means that it's a couple seconds delay. So if you also, the other thing to know about the site is that it's pretty dense. So sometimes you do have to hang on a second while it loads. But there's a ton of, the reason is there are a ton of videos and things in there. So if you click on any of those sessions, and CBCG athletes, many of these may be familiar to you. Um, it will give you all of the numbers that you need for your tempo trainer, so you don't have to do all that hard pool math
Yeah.
while you're swimming. So I don't see.
Yeah, there isn't one in yin and yang because it's basically, I shouldn't have picked that one. Yin and yang is like is basically a best sustainable effort workout.
Oh, right.
So here
There we go.
I'm on Ramp It Up.
There you go. So in Ramp It Up, you can see it tells you what your RM7 is. It tells you what your CSS plus 4 is, or CSS plus 0 in that case. It'll give you some of those numbers so that if you want to just write those down on your workout and bring it to the pool, then you have something to take with you.
Yeah.
And Kirby makes a great point that for those athletes who aren't CBCG coach, and honestly, I'm going to say even for our CBCG athletes, because I can't imagine a more fun thing to do in my spare time than read a training plan. But there are some great training plans on here. And one of the things I love to look at are their plans for much, much longer swims. So like they have plans in here for how to attempt channel swims, essentially. And knowing what goes into that, I think is super interesting. And I definitely look at them. I hope everybody does, because I think there's some cool stuff in there. Another thing that I really like in the training plan stuff are some like my first mile and like tight, or the freshen up your freestyle. Is that it? Is that one? There are some great workouts in there for folks who are interested in working with their coaches on tune up your freestyle. That's it. On making sure that their form is dialed back in, and especially as you're getting back in the water again, focusing on form now is going to pay dividends later. So do some of those technique workouts. If you don't have a coach, check out the plans. If you do have a coach, work with your coach on what might be appropriate for you. But there's some great stuff in there.
Yeah. Yeah, the tune up your freestyle is just a great little progression. Molly and I have used a lot of the workouts in there for the Tri-Team PDX swims because it is just it's great. It's a great way to do exactly what it is that they're saying. Again, yeah, the sometimes the site is a little slow. It's something that they're working on, but eventually, I mean, it's because there's like just a huge, there's a lot of stuff in here. One thing they've added recently, guys, is this Dryland cord training. And this is obviously very useful at the moment. And so if you wanted to get in here and use any of these, this is more information that you can use while we are out of the pool and doing work on stuff that we can do to make ourselves a better, stronger swimmers in this period where we're not able to swim.
Get ready to see this on SwimFit.
Yeah.
This is great.
Here's that principles page that I was talking about. I am on this page more often than other pages in here. Everything that you need to know about being an open water or triathlon swimmer is basically encapsulated in these 11 videos. It's just great. The Becoming a Diesel Engine video is such a good primer and description about what the actual aerobic needs of a long distance swimmer are. It's one of the reasons why that, we aren't opposed to master swim programs. It's just that a lot of you that have worked with us have heard me and Molly say things like, they're going to swim lots of 50s. They're going to swim lots of 100s. They're not doing the specific longer intervals that you need to do to make yourself better at those longer distances in swimming. The corollary is like, if you're a serious runner, like if you're a serious distance runner, you wouldn't ever just go to the track and run 100s and 200s. It would be part of your diet, but that isn't everything that you would do. And so, this is a page that I really, really like. Morgan,
So
have
I
yeah.
really recommend that everybody spend some time sorting through all of this thing. This one of the reasons why Chris and I use Swim Smooth instead of some of the other swim methodologies that are out there, because they really do a tremendous job of creating resources to coach the swimmer instead of the stroke. And we
Mhm.
feel like a lot of folks try to get people into a certain like perfect technique box that many people just aren't like physiologically capable of. In fact, most people aren't physiologically capable of. And so I think there are some great resources in here. Ooh, Fault Fixers is one of my favorites. Yeah, Chris, tell them about that.
I, I was actually going to ask Morgan, is the Fault Fixers page one that you have gone to and looked at and used before?
Yes, I was meditating upon the concept of the front quadrant stroke and getting my hand to actually do that, or even I wanted to desperately to go from being having my support arm disappearing on me.
Hmm.
So that was from my swim analysis, was just trying to get it where I have some support. And so I went to that fault fixer and spent a lot of time there, kind of going in there. I think the one thing just from not knowing any better is you can go out on YouTube and you can kind of troll around on all this stuff, but it just seems like these videos make a lot more sense. I saw
Mhm.
some stuff that was just really kind of wacky, but
Yeah,
again, from not knowing any better, I was joking with Molly that it's nice to working with you guys is I can go into these videos and not be off the reservation from the
Mhm.
program.
Yep.
You know,
yeah,
I can watch anything I want. So yeah, I've gone into the fault fixer. Yeah. So right now it's just make just getting that timing right when
Mhm.
I'm breathing and all of that stuff. So I'm
Wa-
spending a lot of time here.
Was it this one, the pressing down during the catch and pull through, or the losing support of the lead arm?
Losing support of the lead arm is my
Okay.
yeah.
favorite.
Yeah.
Yes.
You've definitely done that one.
Yeah. And so for you guys that are following along, like this fault fixer, it's not just like a one and done page. As you can see, there's like 6 educational steps. There's plus an intro on here, um, where it takes you through everything that you need to know that's going on when you are losing support of the lead arm. And then down here, there is a session. So there's a workout that will actually take you through everything that you need to know that you've read about beforehand. Um, like a lot of triathletes, don't just print out the workout and go do it. Like, take the time and do the work and read through this stuff because you're going to learn a lot of things. And then when you're ready, you just go ahead and print it and then take it to the pool, slap it on a kickboard, and then you go ahead and do that session.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to plus one on that one. I think that a lot of people are frustrated from doing the same drills over and over again and not seeing improvement. One of the things that's great about these pro subscriptions is that you can see those fault fixers and you can read through what those drills are trying to target. It makes it a lot more interactive and it makes it a lot easier to apply it to yourself instead of trying to think about how these drills are supposed to make an impact.
Morgan, on the elites page, sometimes like using elite footage is great, but also sometimes it can be a little disheartening. Is there somebody on the elite page that you have watched more often than anybody else?
No, I think it was when I got my swim analysis. I think Molly had pulled one of the elites off that page,
Mm-hmm.
and
So
or was that someone different?
no, it was I probably did for sure. I think I know I've shown you Rebecca Adlington's
Yeah,
video
yeah, yeah.
before. I am, however, going to tell you, even though I was not asked, so I'm sorry, Chris, I'm gonna have to volunteer though. Shelly Taylor Smith is my favorite. She's great.
Yeah, she's amazing. She's the person that I hold up as like, yeah, she's I mean, she's the ultimate argument point against people that say that fewer strokes is more efficient.
Yeah. So Rebecca Adlington does a great job of showing that high elbow catch, especially. And she's just super powerful and has a beautiful stroke. Shelly Taylor Smith has a kick like a metronome,
Yeah.
and really does a huge, a tremendous amount of work with a very efficient kick. Does a great job of showing off what a 2-beat kick should look like.
Yeah.
We can't show her swim, can we, Chris?
I can. We can. Let's give it a shot.
Oh my God.
Let's see what happens.
Okay. So Shelly Taylor Smith is a distance swimmer and a world champion, and just an absolutely like incredible force in the water. So the best view of her is from underwater. So you can really see her kick, but you can see now like she's super efficient. There we go. So she's swimming something like 106 pace in meters, I think, at this point. Is that right?
Yeah, she's moving real fast.
She's really quick. But like as they slow her stroke down, like she's just so efficient and so powerful, and I love watching her swim. I think she has a gorgeous stroke.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing wrong with this stroke at all, and that's what that's what we're after with swimming. Like, we're not after like, power is great, but really the more that we can take away drag, the better. Some people would look at the stroke and be like, oh, like her elbow's not high, whatever. Like, she's swimming super fast, and she once swam 70 kilometers at 88 strokes per minute. So you can't tell me that that's inefficient.
Yeah.
7-time world marathon open water swim champion for both the men and the women.
She's an amazing athlete.
Yeah, absolutely unreal.
Look at that high elbow catch. She uses all of her lats.
On the other end of the guru, there's also a really, really good learn to swim section. If you're somebody who is truly like learning how to swim, this is another really, really good aspect of the guru. So it's something that I love about it, is that it's all levels. We're not just talking about elites. Like, we are talking all levels of people, all levels of athlete, learning how to get in the water and swim and really do it effectively.
Awesome.
One last thing, we're just going to pop up the swim types page. As Morgan said earlier, he's an Arnie. We kind of went through a few of the characteristics of the Arnie, but basically Swim Smooth has broken swimmers down into one of these 6 types. Usually nobody is like a pure anything. You're mostly one thing and you have some aspects of the other parts. But there's usually one type that we can identify that you're mostly that type. And again, just like the fault fixers, if you discover that you're an overglider, there is a huge progression of both thinking and workouts that you can do in here. And if you're working with your coach, then they can be like, okay, I want you to go and look at this section of the overglider, and then we'll work on it from there. So for our squad, like, this is a huge help to be able to talk to our athletes directly and be like, look at this, all of this information about being an overglider. There's like 4 sessions in here, and it's a really, really big boost to us to be able to do this.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that stuff. I feel like it makes people feel less alone in their swim journey.
Yeah. Morgan, any last things that you want to bring up or talk about or say?
I think from those who like gadgets, I'll just since I'm a gadget person, it's kind of interesting to take a look at, they've added some Strava support, so that's kind of a mixed bag of whether or not you want to hook your tech into that. I think I've been converted to just using a stopwatch or just clicking complete it as done, just do it, and let the things in there. But you have that, and then they do have that one interesting gadget they call the Marlin that was there that I looked at. That's, again, for those who love gadgetry, that looked like it was pretty cool, kind of going in there. But I think overall it was just, I just appreciate you guys getting the basic one, the access to that, and I went ahead and got the full, and I'm glad you're providing that, because for me, as a getting into and learning to swim, this has been huge. It's been my swim reality has been this program. So, and
Morgan, how are you feeling about your swim?
I just I feel just ultimately just confident. I think when my daughter and I get into the pool, there was a time I've got two daughters. The first, my middle daughter, Erica, didn't get a chance to have her dad swim around because I was terrified of being in the deep end. And with my youngest daughter now, I can tootle around and be anywhere and swim. And if she dunks me accidentally, I just pop back up to the surface and just swim, do that. So it's just the gift of being now in this environment is not foreign and not scary. So that's how I'm feeling about the kind of the swim. And I'm looking forward to getting back into the open water and going after Hag Lake one more time because it chased me out last year, and just getting in there. So it's nice to have a third sport where I look forward to getting into the water. That's the gift.
That's awesome.
Nice.
That's awesome. That's the goal too. That's great.
Well, I think we're going to wrap it up. Morgan, thank you for both coming on today and for coming on and helping us fix our technical difficulties at the top of the show. Morgan is a full service guest. He provides your interview, and he also helps fix your technical difficulties at the top.
Yeah, Morgan's also he's working behind the scenes on us bringing you some less technically glitchy streams. I think it's going to be a lot better after we can put into play some of the things that he's been recommending. Kirby, thank you for cheering. I did want to check and see if anyone had any questions or if there's anything that you wanted us to elaborate on, if anything's confusing. If you want to talk to Morgan about what his plans for Hag Lake are, if he's just gonna get in there and just swim all the way around it.
Oh,
it could happen.
It could happen.
I know that a lot of you have used the Swim Smooth stuff before, so I know this isn't brand new to most folks, but we're really excited. I have loved using my pro account over the last several years, and it's one of the things that I wish everyone has had access to. So being able to talk to folks. Oh, thank you so much! Yay!
Thanks, Tina.
I'm really excited that they upped everyone's memberships for CBCG. That's really cool of Swim Smooth. So gratitude to those guys. Bag, anything I'm leaving out?
I don't think so. Thanks for segueing over to Swim Smooth. If any of you want to, I am still in control of the Swim Smooth Instagram account for approximately the next 6 hours.
Oh man!
So if you have any Swim Smooth related pictures or videos or anything like that you want me to include on their main Instagram account, go ahead and get it over to me, and I'll do my best to get it in there. I've mostly just been doing silly stuff on there all day, but go and have a look and let me know what you think about my Instagram stories ability, which I learned everything from my wife, Amy.
Kirby says she should have sent you her towel, but Kirby, if you check the Swim Smooth Instagram, you will see yourself up there.
You are on there.
Yeah, you've been up there for a while. You're a star. You're an internet star, and you didn't even know it.
Well, guys, thanks again for joining us. Please join Molly tomorrow morning for morning routine.
Yay!
And then I'll be back with you tomorrow afternoon at 5 for a swim fit class, maybe incorporating some of the stretch cord stuff that we just saw on the Guru. And then Molly, thank God, not me, gets Sufferfest on Thursday morning. My legs are still totally cooked from this morning. And then of course you got Amy VT Yoga on Thursday afternoon. So until then, Morgan, thank you again so much for coming. Molly, thank you so much for ushering Morgan along on this journey. And everybody, here's to a happier and faster tomorrow.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Later, everybody.
Bye.